Hello to one and all. So the topic that we're going to cover up today is Chapter 1, Challenges of National Building. Now, what is this chapter all about? If I talk about the time period of 1947 and go back to the history and look at the first decade of independence, it was full of turmoil, right? Lot of challenges that the country faced. After independence, the journey was not at all easy, nor for us, nor for the neighboring countries too, right, who got independent from the Britishers. Now, if I look at this story that we're going to cover up in this chapter, we will begin the story of politics in India since independence, okay, by looking at how these challenges of nation building were successfully attempted. They were negotiated by the leaders of the country, okay, in the first decade of 1947, okay. We will talk about partition that happened, and with partition there was a large scale violence that erupted, displacement, and that challenged that very idea of secular India. How then we will move forward to the period of 1953 when the State Reorganization Commission was established, how the things started molding up, what was the basis of division of these state, everything we are going to cover up in today's class. Okay, so these are images of a very famous speech. Okay, it is to the day of midnight of 14 and 15 August 1947 when India attained independence. Okay, so Jawaharlal Nehru was the first prime minister of our free India. He addressed one of these special sessions of the Constituent Assembly at that midnight. And this famous speech of Jawaharlal Nehru is known as A Tryst with Destiny, a very, very famous speech given by Jawaharlal Nehru on this day when India was next morning that India was about to have a freedom, right? So this was the moment that all Indians were waiting for, okay? If we look at our national movement, lot of bloodshed, lot of people sacrificed their life to achieve what India was becoming on that day. So this was not at all easy. So what were the agendas of this new form of India? Lot of agendas if I talk about. So working towards the poor's, towards the disadvantaged sections, right? So poor's, disadvantaged sections, women's, lot of areas that India needed to develop now. Because India was no more the same that it was 100 years back. Lot of things that India need to revamp. The people who were dying due to poverty, they needed to be lifted up. So famous speech by Jawaharlal Nehru. Okay, so this was not easy. Why? If I talk about India, so India was born in very difficult circumstances, very difficult situation India faced, okay? So no other country in the world has born in such kind of situation. It is very, very difficult. So 1947, when India got independence, that freedom was not easy. If I talk about partition, freedom came with the partition of the country. So it was in this situation that independent India started its journey to achieve several objectives. Okay, we will also study about the 5-year plan, also a little bit glimpse about it. Okay, so yet whatever the turmoils, whatever the challenges that were ahead of India, all the leaders and all the people of the country united together, right? I would say to fight with what India had become. Okay, so Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru, this is an image from speaking from Red Fort, 15 August 1947. Okay. If I talk about the year of 1947, right? So what was the year like 1947? Starting from January till August, India was to get independence quite early, but due to some circumstances, right? So it was decided in 1947 would be August 1947 would be the time that India will finally get independence, and India, the Britishers will move back. So if I talk about the reasons, right, that Britishers went back, right? Basically, there were many other reasons apart from that they were facing a lot of challenges in India. World War II, right? So World War II was one of the reasons that Britain, lost a lot of its resources, and Britain wanted to focus now on themselves. So a lot of reasons behind it, but we are now looking towards the year of 1947 if I talk about unprecedented violence and trauma displacement. There are several movies, if you watch, they are based on this, right? That how there was bloodshedding when partition happened, right? Partition was never acceptable. We will see that how India was divided. So Pakistan, then your West Bengal, the East and West Pakistan division. So people in India, many of them, majority of them didn't appreciate this partition, right? There was a lot of harmony, and there was a lot of, I would say, consistent peace among the people. But things were, made in such a way that this partition happened. If I talk about the history, the creation of history that was Britishers did, what they did was, surprisingly, they divided history on the basis of one, the period that was ruled by Hindus, the other period that was ruled by Muslims, and the other Muslims over here, Mughals, and others, and the period ruled by the English. Even the division of history was done because Britishers, they wanted a divide and rule policy, right? Even before Britishers came in India, a lot of things were happening. Okay, there was still harmony. But what happened was, so this partition brought with itself lot of violence and bloodshed. So bodies from here, India going to Pakistan, but from Pakistan, bodies coming loaded in trains. And lot of people, if you look at anybody to nearby, just ask them that what you face during this time of partition. No shelter, no food. Okay, lot of people being displaced from Pakistan entering India, lot of people from India moving to Pakistan. Okay, so they left their land, they left back their homes. There was a lot of bloodshed. Children were displaced in this. So not easy for India though. Okay, so there were also certain challenges now ahead of India. Was it that easy? We could see that situations are not at all fine, right? Was it that easy to overcome what India had faced? So the question arises, why Nehru wanted a secular India? Nehru wanted a secular India because Nehru didn't wanted a country based solely on one particular religion. Nehru advocated that countries should be based among peace and harmony among the people. India, if I talk about, India is a country, okay, with different people living in different areas with different diversity, following different religion practice. What was that? We will study. Like Jinnah, he went for the two nation theory. On the other hand, Nehru wanted a secular India. What is the meaning of this term secular? Secularity, if I talk about, secularity means where in country you are free to propagate, you are free to practice, you are free to profess any type of particular religion. Okay. In India, if I talk about, I have Hindus also living here. Within Hindus, there are several castes, right? There are Jats, there are Yadavs, there are Gujars, okay, and within Hindus, you will also have, a community such as Pandits, lot of within Hindus. There are Muslims, within Muslims, Shias and Sunnis, Christians, Christians are there, within Christians also, lot of divisions are there. You have Jains, okay, Jain community living in India, Parsis are there, Buddhist religion, though they are less in number, but they are there. Secularity means when all these people belonging to different religion, belonging to different caste, belonging to different creed, they live together in harmony. Nehru didn't wanted to establish a country solely based on religion. If you look at the preamble of our country, our preamble never speaks about that we the people of India follow a particular religion. No. We the people of India solemnly resolved, okay, like this way it starts, and it mentions country as secular in character. Anybody of any religion, any caste, any creed is welcome in the country. So that was the basic idea why Nehru wanted a secular India. With secularity, other ideas that were inspired from the French Revolution, equality, that India is going to be secular. India is also going to provide opportunity of equality, opportunity of justice, equality, liberty, right? Fraternity. Fraternity means what? Brotherhood. Everybody is going to live in peace and harmony. That is what a definition of secular India is. If we look at India today, no other country in the world would be witnessing such a diversity. It is only India where we can see people living in such peace and harmony. Okay. Now, the independent India, if I talk about, it faced three challenges. What were those three challenges? Okay, the first and the immediate challenge was to shape a united nation. Okay, and that is what do I mean by shaping a united nation? A very important term comes over here. That is, India wants accommodation. If I talk about India, didn't India accommodated lots of people? Okay, some from northeast, some from middle. India belongs to each and all. So first challenge was shaping this United Nations. So India was a land of continental size and lot of diversity. Look at the languages that people speak here. I might be fluent in Hindi and English. You might be fluent in Gujarati, Hindi and English, Marathi, Hindi and Malayali, Mandrasi, Andhra, right? Nepali, Sikkim language, Gujari language. There are lot of languages that are spoken in India. Still maintaining that unity, right? That was the first very basic challenge, okay? Because this United Nation has to survive for long. The longevity of it is very important, okay? So partition, if I talk about, it was the worst fear of the people. Because seeing that your neighbors now, suppose if I am a Hindu, I'm seeing my neighbor who's Muslim, we have been living for years, for generations, but now they are moving with their family. Not easy, right? There were lots of riots here and there. A lot of things. So several questions started propping up that what would it mean to reject all regional and subnational identities? Okay, and there was an urgent question: how was this integration of the territory of India is to be achieved? If we look at the division on the basis that the how India is divided now on the basis of state and union territories, it was not that way earlier. Things were very different at that time, right? And look at the situation now. So this was the first challenge. Second was to establish democracy. Now, if I want to define this word democracy, I will say democracy means a country where everybody has right to vote. They can live peacefully, but democracy has more meaning, right? That constitution has to grant fundamental rights to the citizens, and these rights have to be extended to all, irrespective to what religion, caste, sex, they creed, they belong to, male, female, everybody, transgenders even, right? They have to be accommodated in the society. That is the meaning of democracy. So when India, it was decided that India will be moving forward with the parliamentary form of system. Or we can say representative democracy that India favored for. Why did India went for the US model of presidential system of democracy? Simple reason is because India, an Indian leader, specifically Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, he said that if you talk about US and about India, so India was already familiar with this parliament system. On the other hand, the presidential system that is followed in USA, India is not at all versed with that, right? And accepting that model is quite difficult for India. Why? Because that presidential system works more on stability, right? That stability of the system should be there. India wanted more responsibility. A more responsible government should come into play. That was the reason that India decided to move forward with the parliamentary form of government, right? This features that, features of rights, the features of representation, they all are, they politically complete this parliamentary system. Okay, so that is what is the meaning of democratic framework. So a democratic constitution is necessary, but it is not sufficient for establishing a democracy. Why? Because there are several challenges associated with that. If I talk about Article 21A, education, Article 21, right to life, right? Still there are lots of things that we cannot say a democratic constitution will establish a democracy. So the challenge was to develop that democratic practice in accordance with the constitution. That was the second challenge. Third challenge was to ensure the development and well-being of the entire society and not only of some sections. Okay, so you will see that here also constitution laid down the principle of equality and special protection to the socially disadvantaged groups. Okay, that also included your religious and cultural communities. The constitution has also set up the directive principles of state policy, DPSPs, right? Directive principles of state policy. Uh, for some welfare goals that the democratic politics, the democratic government should try to achieve, like free legal aid and services to the disadvantaged section. Okay, so the real challenge that India was facing to evolve these effective policies, okay, for economic development and eradication of poverty. Now, how did India responded to these challenges? To what extent had India succeeded in, achieving this objective? This is the question, and we are going to start with this. Okay, so the complete book, if I talk about it, it's related to that only, and that we are going to cover up. So we will first focus on the challenges of nation building that India faced. Okay, and we will look at the events in the context of independence, how things happened, and how the unity that we talk about. Okay, unity actually reflects the aspirations of people, okay, across the different religions, and what kind of disparities there exist. So let us just, move forward after these three challenges. Talking about Muhammad Ali Jinnah, right? So Muhammad Ali Jinnah, when he gave his presidential address to the Constituent Assembly of Pakistan in Karachi on 11th August 1947, so he said in his famous speech that, Pakistan should begin to work in the spirit that, that is going to accommodate all the majorities and minority communities. Okay, that is Hindu and Muslim communities, because even as regard Muslims, you have Pathans in them. In Muslims, you have Punjabis, Shia, Sunnis, lot of people are there. Okay, so he said that people would be free to go to the temples, and that is what was the basic aim when Pakistan was created, right? But things never molded up in that way, because uh, Islam became a dominant religion of Pakistan, right? So if we look about and talk about Jawaharlal Nehru on 15th October 1947, in one of his letter to the chief ministers, okay, he said that Muslim minorities in our country, they are very large in number, okay, and even if we want, they cannot go anywhere else, because they have decided to be part of India. Okay, that they want to be part of India, they want to be part of the secular nation, rather than going into a nation that is dominated by a particular Islamic ideology. Okay, so that is why he talked about in his letter that we must give them security. The people in our country, in India, Muslims living in our country, they should be given that security. And all the rights that are available to all the citizens these rights should also be given to the Muslim community. Okay, and this was the basic agenda that Nehru wanted to move forward with it, because Nehru never wanted India to be a country that is dominated by one particular religion, because he believed that more number of religions are there, then only we can live in unity. So the two nation theory, if we talk about, it was propounded by Muhammad Ali Jinnah to create a separate state for Muslims. Two nation theory is related to that. Now, partition, displacement, and rehabilitation. If I talk about the time of partition, on 14th and 15th August 1947, two nation state, that is India and Pakistan, they came into existence. So lakhs of people from both the sides, they lost their homes, lives and properties and became victim of communal violence. If you look back, if you have watched that movie Milka Singh, it clearly shows that what were the situations. And not only Milka Singh, movie Gadar also portrays that time of partition. So much of killing, right? Women were the worst victim, women and children, right? So war never create peace. They only create a lot of violence, right? So according to the two nation theory advanced by the Muslim League, okay, India consisted of not one but two people, that is Hindus and Muslim. That is why it demanded Pakistan, creation of Pakistan, a separate country for all the Muslim. That was the basic agenda of the two nation theory. Okay, so the Congress, if I talk about, Congress was never in favor of this, that such displacement should occur. He opposed the theory and the demand and the creation of Pakistan. Okay, and but several political development in 1940s, if I talk about what after the Quit India movement, okay, political competition started between Congress and the Muslim League, and the British role into that finally led to the creation of Pakistan. So on the basis of Muslim majority belt, West and East Pakistan was created, which was separated by a long expanse of Indian territory. Look at where Bangladesh is now. Look at where Pakistan. That was a complete Pakistan, but finally Bangladesh was liberated. And talking about the contribution of Khan Abdul Ghaffar Khan, he was also known as Frontier Gandhi. Important, who was known as Frontier Gandhi? Khan Abdul Ghaffar Khan. He was the undisputed leader of the Northwest Frontier provinces. Okay, so despite his opposition, it was merged with the Pakistan. So Punjab, the portion of Punjab and Bengal, it caused deep trauma, deepest trauma of partition, right? It cannot be forgotten right now. Recently in the newspaper, there was an image showing two brothers who are uniting after so many years, almost 60 to 70 years. One left for Pakistan and one for India with his mother. So we could see that pain still remains, okay? So consequences of partition, if I talk about, they were not at all very simple. Now, what was the process of partition? So, what was the process if I talk about? Okay, it was decided that India would be divided now into two countries. That is, one will be India and the other would be Pakistan. Okay, such a division was very painful, definitely, and it was very difficult to decide and implement how the border is going to be created. Okay, but lot of difficulties started, right? First of all, there was no single belt of Muslim majority areas in British India, and that make the situation all more difficult. So there were two areas of concentration. One was in the west and one was in the east, and that was created as Pakistan. Okay, Pakistan, it was decided is going to comprise two territories, one in your west, another in your east. So Khan Abdul Ghaffar, the Frontier Gandhi, he was opposed to this two nation theory, that is creation of West and East Pakistan, but his voice was actually ignored, completely ignored, and it was finally decided that yes, a creation of two states will take it. Okay, and other problem that emerged was that two of the Muslim majority provinces of British India, okay, Punjab and Bengal, very important, they had a very large area. Okay, so how to divide this particular area according to the religious majority was very, very difficult. And the decision could not be made even till the midnight of 14 to 15 hours. Okay, Punjab complete area and Bengal. That was a very difficult issue. So it meant that a large number of people, even on the day of independence, they didn't know whether they were in India or they were in Pakistan. See, that was the turmoil. That was the situation that was created. Okay, and people were traumatized by this. Now, another problem of partition was problem of minorities. So, problem of minorities. On both sides, minorities were there. I cannot say that minorities were present only in, India. Minorities were present in Pakistan also. Okay, so lakhs of Hindus and Sikhs in the area that were now in Pakistan, and an equally large number of Muslims on the Indian side of Punjab and Bengal found themselves trapped into a situation, right? So refugees, when they landed up here in India, they were provided by a lot of help by the Indian government. Okay, and you could see that the year of 1947 was the year of one of the largest, most abrupt, unplanned and tragic transfer of population history, that is, and minorities, they started fleeing their homes, and temporary shelters they were taking in the refugee camps. So women were abducted, they were raped, they were attacked and killed, and they were forcibly converted to other religions also. And political and administrative machinery failed on both these sides. So there was a huge loss of lives and property, communal violence, no limits, complete violence, and integration of this country was not that easy. We just talked about West and East. Now, what were the challenges of nation building for Eastern and Western regions? So, when it was clear that now country is going to get partition, right? There were attacks both in West and both in East, okay? The attacks were in such a huge scale that nobody had anticipated that such a kind of situation would occur in the country. And very soon, which started as a small violence, the violence was out of control. Complete bloodshed throughout, okay? And the minorities on both the sides, no option was left except to leave their home, okay? And within they were just given that, okay, you have 1 hour, 2 hour, half an hour to leave your home, and you have to leave everything and run for your life. That was the only option, that we can say the challenge of nation building for Eastern and Western region. Now, talking about the time of partition, right? So administrative concerns were there for sure, right? How to administer the country. With it, I can say yes, there were some financial strains also that the country was facing. But there was another very deep issue. What was that deep issue? Now, if I talk about the leaders, right? So the leaders of the Indian national movement or the Indian national struggle, they did not believe in the two-nation theory at all. They never believed in this partition. But still partition has taken place. Now the country is divided. And did that make India a Hindu nation automatically after division? That was the basic question that was asked. Okay. So even after that large scale Muslims migrated, right, and created Pakistan. Now, if I talk about the time period of 1951, the Muslim population in India, it accounted by around 12%. That how can you say that India is completely a Hindu nation? Definitely not. Muslim people, but the people of the Muslim community are still part of it. Okay, so the government of India treated Muslim citizens and other religions as minority. Can you consider them as minority? Okay, lot of questions started coming up, and every question related to one fact. Now what? Okay, so conflicts among the leaders, among the Congress, okay, Nehru, Gandhi, Ambedkar, three very famous personality, different perspectives on everything, right? A lot of competition started happening. We will see that lot of things were coming up, and it was becoming really very, very difficult to manage, okay? So if I talk about the political interest, So there were competing political interests which are behind these conflicts. Okay, the Muslim League was formed to actually protect the interest only of the Muslims. On the other hand, leaders like Nehru, they wanted a secular nation. You will see that separate Muslim nation, the demand for separate Muslim nation and accepting that was not at all easy. There were organizations also during that time. What were these organizations doing? They were trying to organize the Hindus in order to turn India into a Hindu nation. That if Pakistan is being created as Muslim nation, why not India be created as a Hindu nation then? That was the question, okay? But many leaders or Indian leaders believe that no, this won't be actually right, because India must treat persons of all religions with utmost sincerity, peace and respect. That was the basic agenda behind this. A lot of challenges over the period. Now, role of Mahatma Gandhi, we have seen role of Mahatma Gandhi in several movements. He has played very great and significant role. If I talk about this particular day, 15 August 1947, okay, where was Mahatma Gandhi? So Mahatma Gandhi actually did not participated in any of the Independence Day celebration. So he was in the Kolkata that time when riots were going on between Hindus and Muslims. Okay, and Gandhi was completely saddened by the violence that erupted in the country due to the partition. What Gandhi wanted was non-violence. Gandhi favored satyagraha, right? And he lived and worked for that considerably. Today, India got independence, but at the cost of so many lives again. Okay, and he believed that whatever he has worked till time has completely failed. Okay, and he wanted the people to give up the violence, okay, that Hindu and Muslim violence, okay, and he went on to persuade both the sides, Hindus also, Muslims also, telling their leaders to stop it, okay. So his presence in Kolkata, because Kolkata was witnessing that partition. So, since he was there in Kolkata, it is believed that his presence, it calmed down situation to a great extent, and he tried, because he was trying his best to create that calm communal harmony, okay. And Gandhi was doing prayer meets, but this was short-lived because the riots were, they erupted once again, and Gandhi then finally had to resort to a fast. That he went to a fast, you know, and he decided that until and unless the situation come back to normal, he is not going to he is not going to break his fast. Okay, so next month after India got independence, okay, Gandhi moved to Delhi, and in the another month also in Delhi he saw again the same violence that erupted in Kolkata. Now he was, one thing that concerned Gandhi, that Hindu and Muslims, you are dividing a country, one complete country on the basis of religion. But what should be done is that whatever it should be done, the main thing is that the dignity of every citizen should be respected. Okay. So he was concerned that what relations will future hold for India and Pakistan. That was the basic concern. So Indian government decision and the financial commitments that were made to Pakistan, Gandhi was not at all happy with it. And finally, in his last fast that he took was on January 1948. Okay. Now, with this fast, one thing happened was that the communal tensions they reduced to a great extent. We could see that they, reduced in good number, and the government of India agreed to give it dues to Pakistan. So Gandhi's actions were, however, not liked by all, appreciated by all, that why he is favoring so much to Pakistan. Okay, and extremists, if I talk about in both the communities, they blamed Gandhi for this, but the basic purpose of Gandhi was to reduce the violence. Okay, and many people, he were disliked him, and he wanted to take revenge. Okay, or those who wanted India to become a Hindu country, just as Pakistan was Muslims, right? Lot of criticism Gandhi faced. So Gandhi was actually, if I talk about, accused for favoring Muslim people. Okay, and Gandhi, what was the thought of Gandhi? That these people are being misguided. That is why they are not able to understand my perspective. Okay, because Gandhi wanted a country based on what? Based on love, peace, and harmony. Okay, and Gandhi's idea was a Ram Rajya, a stateless society where state is not present, but things were turning out quite different. Okay, so on finally on 30th January 1948, one of the extremists, Nathuram Vinayak Godse, he killed Gandhi during the evening prayer meet. And what was that? That was something that he wanted to take revenge of. That why are you supporting Pakistan? So this was the time when Gandhi lost his life, and the struggle, his long struggle, came to an end. Okay, and if I talk about Gandhi's death, what effect did it bring into country? They say that a lot of magical effect on the communal situation in the country happened. Okay, and whatever anger, violence, rage that was happening, it completely subsided. Everything subsided. Okay, and people were back, and the communal politics, it began to lose its appeal, because a leader who worked tirelessly when he came back to India in 1915, and such a journey he covered, working tirelessly for the communities, not just one Hindus, Muslim. Gandhi's death not only affected Hindus, it affected every community, not just community of the world, because he was a man working tirelessly, telling people that what should be done is to live in peace and harmony. You are sons of same motherland, right? And you are being divided by the third person. That was the basic concern, and what future holds for India and Pakistan. This was something related to the partition time and till the period of 1948. Now India is independent. We are seeing lot of situations happening in the country. The another very important question that was raised was integration of princely states. How will the princely states be integrated into India, right? If I talk about there were two type of provinces in British India. The British India provinces that were directly under the control of the British government, and other was the princely states that was governed by the Indian princes. Okay, so there were, after independence, if I talk about, 565 princely states were there, and many of them joined Indian Union. Okay, so princely states covered around one third of the land area of the British Indian Empire, and 1 out of 4 Indians lived under the princely rule. Now what was the problem in integration? Okay, now just before independence, if I talk about, okay, it was announced by the Britishers that with the end of their rule over India, the paramountcy that was of the British crown over princely states is going to lapse, right? What is the meaning of this? That all these states, like 566 of all of them, would be legally independent after that. Okay, now these princely states, when they said independent, it means that either they can join India or either they can join Pakistan. That was the problem that was created. Okay, that was a very serious problem. What if any princely state in Tamil Nadu says we want to join Pakistan? Then it would be a problem, right? The problem started. First of all, if I talk about the ruler of Travancore announced that the state had decided on independence, and the Nizam of Hyderabad, right, he also made a similar announcement the next day. We're going to study about Hyderabad in detail. So rulers like Nawab of Bhopal, if I talk about them, okay, they were very averse to joining the Constituent Assembly, that we are not going to join Constituent Assembly. 565 princely states. Okay, very difficult. So response of the rulers of the princely state that was coming, that it was a possibility that India can further get divided into smaller countries. Within India, you can have smaller country. That was a very difficult situation to tackle, and we should, as Indians, appreciate the role of Sardar Patel in integrating the princely states. Okay, now what was the government's approach? Talking about Travancore, Hyderabad, Kashmir and Manipur, they initially refused to join Indian Union for sure. Now, what the government did, the interim government took a firm stance against whatever was happening. Okay, they were not acceptable to the fact that India is going to be further divided. So, the Muslim League opposed the Indian National Congress and took the view that shades, let them be free, let them adopt what they want. Okay, so Sardar Patel was India's deputy prime minister at that time and home minister during that very important period, and he played a very historic role in integrating these states. Okay, he was very firm in his point of view, and he came forward with a plan that this should be done. So it was very complicated task, right? If we talk about, so there were 26 small states at that time. 26 small state in today's Orissa, if I talk about 20 small states in Orissa, and Surashastra region of Gujarat had 14 big states. Was it easy to integrate all of them, right? And 119 small states and numerous other administrations were present. So government's approach was guided by three considerations. What were the three considerations? Firstly, the people of most of the princely states, they want to be part of India, right? Not Pakistan. Secondly, the government was to be, decided that yes, we will be flexible in our approach. Okay. And the idea that being flexible was so that they can adopt a flexible approach also in dealing with these particular areas. Okay. Thirdly, the backdrop of partition, okay, which was brought into focus at that time, and the contest over demarcation of the territory, that how it is going to take place. Okay, so the consolidation of the territorial boundary, if I talk about, okay, this became all more important. So before 15 August 1947, things were negotiated, peaceful negotiation were happening. Okay, and new boundaries were being drawn. So the rulers of the most of the states, if I talk about, they signed a document called the Instrument of Accession. What is this Instrument of Accession? Very important from exam point of view. Instrument of Accession, right? Now this Instrument of Accession, which was signed, it meant that the state now agree to become part of the Union of India. That is the Instrument of Accession. Okay, and accession of the princely states of Junagadh, Hyderabad, One Kashmir and Manipur, okay, proved more difficult, more challenging compared to other states, right? We will discuss. If I talk about the issue of Junagadh, right? So in Junagadh was resolved after a plebiscite that was confirmed that now the people are ready to join India. So the then interim government took a firm step against the possible division of India into smaller principles of different states. Okay, and the government approach, we just discussed the three consideration, and the people of most of the princely states, they clearly wanted to be part of Indian Union. So flexibility and so what is important from exam point of view is Instrument of Accession. What is the meaning of this Instrument of Accession? You can remember precisely, we will be studying about the other states which refused to join to be part of Union of India. That is very important. Let's talk about Hyderabad. If I talk about Hyderabad, so Hyderabad was the largest princely state, right? And this Hyderabad, if you look at the map, it was entirely surrounded by Indian territories. Okay. Now, some of the parts of Hyderabad, they are now actually part of Maharashtra, Karnataka, and Andhra, three states. Okay. So the ruler of Hyderabad was given the title of Nizam. He was known as Nizam. And this Nizam was actually one of the richest man you will find in the world. And what this Nizam wanted was a independent state for Hyderabad. Okay, demand for a independent state. The demand for a independent state. And he entered into one of the agreements. Name of the agreement is Standstill Agreement. And this standstill agreement happened in November 1947. Okay. So for a year, the negotiations kept on happening and finally standstill agreement was signed. Okay. Now, When this agreement was being signed, so there was a movement of the people living in Hyderabad that started against the Nizam's rule. And people gathered that momentum to fight against the Nizam. This was the challenging point. This was the movement of change. The peasantry in the Telangana region, the farmer community, they were facing lot and lot of oppression from Nizam, right? They didn't wanted Nizam to continue forward with his rule. And they even joined this movement in large numbers. Complete revolt against Nizam. Okay, the communist and the Hyderabad Congress, if I talk about them, they were the forefront in the movement. Okay, leading the marches. And the Nizam, what he did, now Nizam, when he was being, protested by the people, what he did, he took a paramilitary force. That paramilitary force was called as Raskars. So this paramilitary force, Raskars, it was unleashed on the people, and we could see complete violence, bloodshed in the state of Hyderabad. Because they never thought, these Raskars, that whatever they are doing, whomever they thought, was coming in their way, he was killed. Because Hyderabad wanted to become independent. Murder, rape, looting, everything started, okay? It was in 1948 when situations were going out of control. Central government came into power. Central government now decided that Indian army is going to tackle the situation, okay? And after a few days of fighting, the Nizam finally surrendered, and this led to Hyderabad accession to India. This is how Hyderabad accession to India happened. Very, very important how Hyderabad annexation happened. Okay. Let's come to Manipur. Now, if I talk about Manipur, there was a ruler who was Maharaja of Manipur. Name of the ruler was Bodh Chandra Singh. And Bodh Chandra Singh, he signed the instrument accession with the Indian government on the assurance that was given to him that the eternal autonomy of Manipur will not be disturbed. So, under the pressure of the public opinion, the Maharaja, what he did, he went for elections. And these elections happened in the year 1948. And when these elections happened, what happened? It got converted into a constitutional monarchy. So, we can say that Manipur was the first part of India, first state of India to hold an election after independence, that too based on a system of adult franchise. Very, very important. Which state was that? That state was Manipur. Okay. Now, if I talk about the Legislative Assembly of Manipur, sharp differences started occurring. Okay. Now, talking about Congress, state Congress, they said that why not merge with India? If I talk about state Congress and the other political parties, they were opposed to the decision that why to join India. Okay. Now, finally, the role of Government of India came into play, and Government of India finally persuaded the Maharaja to sign the merger agreement. And this merger agreement was signed in September 1949. September 1949 was the time period when this was finally signed. Okay. Now, when this agreement was signed, lot of anger we could see, okay, in Manipur, and still, if we look at the time period, the people are not satisfied, okay, due to some policies in northeastern region, right? So this was one of the problems that was India faced. You can see the changes in India and Pakistan maps. So look at this particular map, 1947. This was what was Pakistan and India, right? And this is the other region, Bangladesh now. And now it is like this. Okay, so if you look at this particular region, we claim it to be complete Indian territory, but this is a region of Aksai Chin and Pakistan occupied territory. So actually it is not part of India because we consider it to be a part of India, but a lot of conflicts are happening and still the issue is not resolved completely, right? So look at the map. Okay, map is very significant and important. So you can see that so Bangladesh, finally it was liberated, and India helped Bangladesh to have that liberation. And Bangladesh, recently only we paid tribute to the soldiers of India that died in fighting for the Bangladesh. Okay, so 1947 and now India before and after partition. If you look at the map clearly, the areas that are in yellow, these are the British Indian states. The blue one, these are the princely states. See, Jammu and Kashmir, complete. Then you have your Gujarat, Junagadh is over here. Hyderabad, see, Hyderabad is one region. Now in the previous map, we show that this particular place is empty, right? It was white in color. Why? Because it represents Hyderabad, Nizam. We just read the story. Okay, the map is very important over here. Look at the region. What was India? Completely divided. British India, right? And East Pakistan, later it became Bangladesh. Okay, this map is mentioned and is there in your NCERTs also. Okay, so you can refer for that also. And Andaman and Nicobar, it also included, it was part of British India only. So see the princely states. Okay, this region, Jammu and Kashmir, then you come to Gujarat and Gwalior, then your Hyderabad and your Mysore region. These are all princely states. So see how challenging was for India to have this these particular princely states to be part of India, because definitely challenges will be there. Some will agree to be part of India and some will not. So the process of national building did not came to end with the partition and integration of princely state. Now the challenge was to draw the internal boundaries, that how you are going to draw these internal boundaries. Is it easy that if I talk about during the colonial rule, the state boundaries were drawn either on administrative convenience or simply coincided with the territories. There was nothing proper sort of thing. Okay, so our national movement had rejected the divisions, and they were considered as artificial in nature, and they were not something that India wanted to. Okay, if I talk about a very famous Nagpur session, 1920, I am talking about. So Nagpur session, what is the significance of this Nagpur session of Congress? Okay, so the principle was recognized as the basis of reorganization of the Indian National Congress Party itself, the basis of formation of states. So many provincial Congress committees were created on the linguistic basis. We are going to study these linguistic bases, the demand for creation of linguistic bases and details. Okay, so things completely changed after partition. Our leaders, okay, everybody, that they thought, okay, now language would be the best way. Okay, that we should divide the country on the basis of language. But many said that no, if you divide the country on the basis of language, then more disintegration is to happen, and rather than making the country united, you are going to actually disturb the country. Okay, so it was quite postponed for a time, right? And it was decided that whatever is happening, let it move forward by that. So what happened was that the decision of the national leadership was challenged by the local leaders and the people. Okay, and they were completely challenged at that time. If I talk about the areas, several areas such as Tamil Nadu saw protest, right? So Tamil Nadu was one area that witnessed lots of protest in the region, right? And Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, Kerala, okay, the Vishal Dhara movement. This is the movement for a separate state for Andhra, okay, demanded. What was the demand of this particular movement? That there should be a separate state for the Telugu speaking areas and the Madras speaking areas. This was the basic demand. So all, if I talk about not even single one, all political parties around the region were were in the favor that linguistic distribution should be there, and again reorganization of the state should happen on this particular. Now, during national movement, if I talk about, INC recognized the demand of state reorganization on linguistic basis. But as I told you, the idea was keep keep on postponing for a long period of time. Why was it postponed? Because if you look at this fate of the princely state, that issue had not completely resolved, and we are coming up with another issue. So after a long movement in December 1952, it was Andhra Pradesh, the first state that was created on linguistic basis. Okay, and we will just study it about in detail. So creation of the state gave impetus to other state also, that now linguistic basis should be the division. So State Reorganization Commission happened to form in 1953. Very, very important. State Reorganization Commission and its recommendation. This commission, it accepted that the boundaries of the state should reflect the boundaries of different religions. Then only finally after the state reorganization gave a green flag to it, the division of states on the basis of language happened, and we will see that till 2014, Telangana, right, formation of new state took place. Let us just study that. Now let us understand this reorganization of states. So states, if I talk about, four divisions, A, B, C and D, right? So part A, what is this part A? It refers to 9 former governor provinces of India, of British India, and they were made of part A. Part B is 8 former princely states. So princely states, they were part of part B. Okay. Part C, some princely states were made of part C states, and they were governed by whom? Chief commissioners, right, which are appointed by President of India. So commissioners provinces were part of part C. Part D was Andaman and your Nicobar Island, right? It was made part of part D of the state because it was being administered directly by the central government, right? So the State Reorganization Act that was passed in 1956. Act was passed in 1956. Okay. So the states of India, if I talk about, they were originally formed as a result of historical accidents and circumstances. So for the first time, the state reorganization was constituted in 1953 and act was passed in the year 1956. Okay. And the commission was appointed by Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru. And who headed this commission? So Faisal Ali. So Faisal Ali headed this commission. That is why it is known as Faisal Ali Commission also. And the two other members was M. Panikkar and H.N. Kunzru. And what happened? Now, to give effect to these schemes of the reorganizations, okay, that which emerged from considerations of the proposals contained in the report, the State Reorganization Act, if I talk about, okay, it was enacted by the Parliament under Article 3 of the Constitution of India. And if I talk about the 7th Amendment Act, this 7th Amendment Act of 1956. So what is this 7th Amendment Act related to? Implemented the scheme of states. Okay, so the scheme of states was implemented by these. So the new states were formed as a result of the reorganization of states in 1956. Okay, and they were Andhra Pradesh, Bombay, your Kerala, your Madras, Mysore, all these states were established. Okay, and this was a little history about reorganization of states. Now, when we come forward to understand these reorganization of states, okay, so you will see that these commissions that were established, a very important significant thing that they came forward with was that in order to establish, right, these linguistic divisions, one thing should not be forgotten, the idea of secularity, the idea of independent India. That was something very, very important. Let us discuss the role of Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel in the integration of princely states. Okay, so we cannot forget the contribution of Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. So Sardar Patel was India's first Home Minister and Deputy Prime Minister, and he played a very key role in the integration of about how many princely states? 565, right? And he integrated into the Indian Union. So few princely states that didn't wanted to join the state of India. So Sardar Patel worked tirelessly to build a consensus, okay, with these princely states, but did not hesitate also that in employing methods of Sam, Dam, Dand, Bhed, right? Whatever he could do to unite the India, right? So how can we forget his contributions? Now, if I talk about force, yes, Sardar Patel used force also to annex princely states of Junagadh, which was ruled by the Nawab of his time, and Hyderabad also. We just discussed the story behind that, because both of them, they did not wish to join India, right? And there was no option apart from using force, and Sardar Patel had to use force, right? So Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, he actually stitched the princely states along with British Indian territory and prevented a very important thing, that is balkanization of India. Yes, he prevented balkanization of India. He is also known as Iron Man of India, and for playing such an important role in unification of the country. Okay, and whatever his contribution has been towards India can never be forgotten. So role of Sardar Patel is very important over here. When Andhra Pradesh was formed, so this spurred the struggle for making other states on linguistic lines. That linguistic division should be the basis of dividing the country. And this was the reason, just we discussed, that 1953 state reorganization commission was established to look into the question of redrawing the boundaries of the state. Okay, the commission in its report accepted the boundaries of the state on the basis of linguistic basis, and on basis of that report, it was in 1956 that led to the creation of 14 states and 6 union territories. Very, very important. Okay, so from exam point of view, or how it was formed, how Andhra, okay. And if I talk about formation of Andhra, a very important role of one of the personalities, that is Poti Shri Mallu. We will discuss about him also, right? So that how his role is a very, very important. So decision of the national leadership was, challenged by the local leaders and the people of that time, and protests started to begin in the Telugu speaking areas of the Madras old provinces, that which is presently now we call it Tamil Nadu, okay, and Andhra, Kerala, Karnataka. And finally there was no other hope left, and creation of Andhra Pradesh has to take place. Okay, Mahatma Gandhi's point of view, if I talk about, Mahatma Gandhi said that if linguistic provinces are formed, okay, so it is going to flip that regional language. It would be absurd to make Hindustani the medium of instruction in all the regions, and it will be absurd then to use English for this purpose. This was given by who? Mahatma Gandhi. Now look at the current times. We are moving forward with three language formula, right? Three language formula. What is this three language formula? That students should be taught in their mother tongue, one English, and Hindi is actually not accepted by many of the southern states. Now, Poti Shri Mallu, he was an Indian freedom fighter and revolutionary. So Shri Mallu is revered as Amrajeevi in the Andhra region, right? He is called Amrajeevi. And for his sacrifice for the Andhra region, he became famous. The reason was because he went for a 58 days hunger strike in support of having a separate state for Andhra. And in this protest, he died and he lost his life. Okay, so people in large numbers, took to the streets, and many were injured also when this protest was going on. So in Madras, several legislators resigned their seats in the protest. A lot of protest was happening at that time. So finally, Prime Minister announced the formation of a separate Andhra state in the year 1950. 1952. Finally, when yes, Andhra came into play and the state of Andhra Pradesh was created. Okay, so Sri Mallu, if I talk about more about him, he was a Gandhian worker, right, and left government job to participate in the salt satyagraha. So he was an active participant in salt satyagraha, also participated in individual satyagraha. Individual satyagraha, okay, it's associated with Gandhi. Salt satyagraha also associated with Gandhi. Okay, and 1946 was the time that he went for a fast, demanding that temples in Madras, they should be open to Dalits also. This is also one of his contribution. We just not talk about the creation of Andhra state, and yes, undertook a fast on to death from 19th October 1952, and for the demand of the separate state of Andhra Pradesh, and he lost his life. Okay, so if I talk about the one of the most important early concerns in the that India was facing was the demand of separate states. Okay, and with that, if we talk about linguistic division, it is going to create problem. Now also, if we look at our country, right, go to Uttara, we are generally divided on linguistic basis only, but here and there we can say that yes, no, the country is more of united. Okay, so above all, we can say that linguistic states, they underline the acceptance of principles of diversity, and India adopted a system of democracy over the time period, democratic constitution that we look forward for. Okay, so with this we end the chapter here. Thank you so much.